at BLG, keeping some of the similarities from their first game on the red side. But that Viego first pick, just like in game number 1 for BLG when they were on that red side. And now it's up to Ultra Prime for the double lock-in. What kind of spice do we see? I know I told you in the break, I want to see the Swain Tompkins again. Maybe it's a one card dealt kind of situation, but you never know with Ultra Prime, as they do also lock in the Gwen.
Yeah, I think we'll get the Gwen. We'll probably look towards some sort of jungler here as well, or could also go towards the Aphelios again here for Smlz. He's been really, really strong on that pick, but actually looks like they're just going to go for a support pick here, potential for the LEona.
Would be nice to set up a lot of engage. We know ShiauC has been really good on the roam timers as well, getting influence with Hacker and utilizing that to find advantages for XiaoCaoBao and Smlz, even ZS sometimes. So I do actually like the LEona pickup here for ShiauC. A little bit of enableization for that support, that engage, that shot caller there. But BLG, yeah, it's open, it's ready to go. You gotta hope that they pick it up, because this would be a resurgence pick for them. Aiming's most played, as well as it just fits their play style so beautifully.
And I'd love to see a Braum here, because when you look already at Ultra Prime, a lot of this is going to be very short range carries. Braum gets a lot of advantages when you get into these kind of more close quarter fights, but also you've already got like things like this LEona. Hey, look, Braum just does really well against that, because you can prevent the engage, prop up a shield in front of the whole thing, and nullify everything that LEona wants to do. But we're going to get BLG solidifying BiuBiu selection first, making sure that he can get that counter matchup, because this is the way BLG like to play. So Kennen taken for that top side, and maybe we get Ultra Prime now banning away these supports like this Nautilus, like the Braum on this next rotation, and just making it a little bit more uncomfortable for ppgod.
So I actually really like this from BLG, because they saw what could have happened in the top lane if maybe there was a little bit of focus up towards that way. Like I do think Kennen has a lot to say in these matchups, and especially in those team fights. You could see the Maelstroms were just right on the cusp of being just game breakers there. But you also get the game breaker of Orianna for XiaoCaoBao. You saw last time it was the nail in the coffin that ended BLG for game number 1, and we get a little bit of similarities here from that game number 1.
It looks like Ultra Prime are going to forgo the supports and instead look to try and ban away and get that good matchup for XiaoCaoBao in the mid lane. So LeBlanc already taken off the board. Could potentially see something like the, I don't know, Silas is already taken off the board, but maybe a set or something, or the Kali ban come through here. But no, it's actually going to be the Volibear. Okay. But on the other side, BLG going to keep going towards these AD carries. We already said, hey, look, let's just give something that can't really scale too well against the Ezreal ban card here. You've already got the Aphelios. Potential here to go towards the Jinx, although with the Thresh banned away, maybe not going to see that, but I wouldn't, maybe a Varus or something could also fit into that wheelhouse.
Yeah. Oh man, I want to see a picture of, or I want to see a cam of Smlz right now. I want to see if there's a smile on his face, because okay, there's not, but you know it's fine, because they get the Kindred ban away by BLG, so they don't want to deal with that one. But Ultra Prime will lock in the Trundle. They're stealing away some of BLG's pieces.
Again, though, you're seeing like very short range for Ultra Prime, which does enable things like the Viego, like the Kennen, and certainly in Ezreal, not going to be under too much threat with the way that Ultra Prime currently have. There's no one that can actually lock him up. So I think this Ezreal pick is going to have a field day. Here's the Braum that we were talking about that we want to see paired with it. I still think that's the best pick, but okay, they're going to go towards the Rell. I mean, Rell's okay in this scenario, but I still think just having the peel would have done wonders against what Ultra Prime have. But you're kind of giving yourself a secondary engage tool alongside this this Kennen.
I just love the disappointment I hear in your voice. It's like, man, I had it all set up for you, BLG. I had the big brain play. Their big brain answer is going to be the Viktor, though, spicing it up a little bit in that fashion.
I mean, it's going to be Zeka going control mage versus control mage. A lot of what we were just saying was, hey, look, we wanted something from Peel, from Braum. They take the Rell and they go, hey, look, we'll just take it from a mid laner instead. Get this crowd control coming through with the Viktor W being able to hold people in place. And there's Smlz bringing back his Twitch. We saw this against Top Esports. Didn't work out so hot for him, but certainly I do like the creativity that we get to see, where it's like, cool, we have a free laning phase. Great, let's just go for scaling.
He wants to run it back. He wants to show that it is a pick to be reckoned with. I do think the bot lane matchup is going to be a little bit interesting this time around. It was interesting last game, right? Yeah, the Kindred. You can't make that not interesting. But this one a little bit more set in the ways of the way that matchups go typically. And I still think that, you know, Hacker and WeiWei's influence down towards the bot lane could be really interesting. But that's where the point that you brought up earlier, where you want to see WeiWei going more towards that top side, more towards BiuBiu. Do they commit to that original play style that they have where they feel really comfortable in, or do they continue to kind of put their eggs into the bottom lane basket, as we've said multiple times?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of got to play the hand you're dealt here as BLG.
Yeah.
You've already taken this Ezreal in the bottom lane. You're not really going to be able to play too heavily towards them. So I'm more than likely are going to see them going towards that top side and trying to see if they can help BiuBiu get this Kennen rolling, chipping away at the Terror versus Gwen, and just getting this Kennen nice and big. But the problem that we were actually talking about for Ultra Prime side was, hey, look, you know, short range composition. BLG set up a composition beautifully for these short range carries, but suddenly they end up bringing out this Twitch, this crazy long range, and now you're going to have to try and find some way of dealing with this guy when he opens up with the spray and pray. You just don't really have anything right now that can actually get that distance close onto the Twitch and actually cause issues for him.
It's going to be really hard to do, and you've got to look at aiming's positioning here on the Ezreal. It's been so good in the past, maybe not as great on that Aphelios in game number 1, but this time you got to pick it up. You have a lot of peeling available to you and a lot of distractions, as we were saying we wanted to see for BLG. You got a Maelstrom, you got a Viego popping off, you got a Viktor as well. So this is the moment for BLG to shine. This is the moment for them to pick up the win that secures them playoffs here. BLG versus Ultra Prime. Game number 2 starting now.
And this is where BLG need to start being creative. We need to start seeing them looking for these right flanks coming through from ppgod, WeiWei, BiuBiu with the teleport plays, getting themselves in a position where they can all collapse onto Ultra Prime and find these big team fights, because we're going to have a brawl in this game, Mazel. When you look at these two compositions, they're going to be butting heads at all these objectives, and especially if you want to try and look towards Ultra Prime, like guys like ZS for this Gwen, who can start to threaten on towards a relatively squishy front line. You need to make sure that you're bursting out these fights very quickly and winning them out before they really get going.
And I wonder how committed both these teams are to one of those early skirmishes that we saw committing all the TPs down there. But the big thing is, and you were talking about this top lane matchup a little bit, is for BiuBiu, right? Like, I feel like he felt pretty good about the laning phase last time around. It didn't go his way necessarily overall in that mid game, but they felt confident enough to pick this Kennen back up into ZS's Gwen. But ZS looked so good in the team fights in his positioning with the Gwen and the amount of damage he was able to deal. I feel like this top lane matchup is still going to have a lot to say, but even if we don't see that big focus there, we do have opposite sides, or same side starts rather, from both junglers. So maybe we'll get a little bit of tussling towards the top side.
Yeah, I think the big issue for kind of the junglers right now is, like, how do you actually try and influence your lanes? More so for Hacker, because you don't really have a CC setup mid, top at all. So you're going to be kind of playing more of that counter gank role, seeing if you can match WeiWei. And when you've got like CC galore here for BLG's top half of the map between Zeka being offered some, BiuBiu and WeiWei being able to facilitate that, I think we're going to see a little bit more action from BLG and a lot more of those early game skirmishes going their way, especially around the Rift Heralds.
Hacker looking for a level 3 gank onto Zeka in mid lane. Will bypass farming his side of the jungle because he wants to get the early blood for XiaoCaoBao. He says, no longer will you camp my mid laner. No longer will you get him dead, as the flash comes out and Hacker chomps him down. First blood for Ultra Prime.
All right, never mind. All my analysis out the window because Zeka just decided to hard trade for whatever reason. He walked up on that play rather than trying to walk away from Hacker and ends up paying with his life. Just goes that bit too far forward. So nice job. Now though, WeiWei with the TP back in from Zeka trying to invade alongside BiuBiu on towards the jungle.
And you see ZS is not coming down. This is a 2v1 and not in favor of Hacker. He gets the red buff, I believe. I think he was able to get that one, but he's not going to be able to get out because you've got the stun coming through, and BLG will respond with a kill of their own.
And this is what we used to see so much from BiuBiu, from WeiWei when they were back on V5, utilizing priority in lanes and invading into the jungle. And beautifully done there to just get Hacker behind, punish the fact that he had no flash, and also just pick up a little bit of an advantage for that Kennen in the top side.
You're wanting some focus topside? Well, we got a lot of action towards topside. I know I'm going to go back to something that happened earlier, but it was the first blood for Hacker. It was so funny to watch him in between that top, or like the river up there on the top side of mid, because he was like going back and forth for a couple seconds, just trying to decide, is it worth it to go for this kill? Does go for it, gets the first blood, a little bit of gold for himself. Gotta see what he can do with it on this Trundle.
And again, this is kind of falling back into what we're talking about, right? BLG, if they're able to get the ball rolling here for the Kennen, get themselves into a good spot on the top side, it becomes really difficult for Ultra Prime to try and contest things like the Rift Herald, just because of the sheer amount of CC, AoE damage that can come through from BLG, the resets from WeiWei. So I want to see now BLG continuing this pressure, especially as WeiWei starts to move back up towards his top side as those camps respawn.
And we do have Dragon coming up on the board, but no real big onus on it, right? It's a Cloud Dragon to start us off, so at least we won't have the Cloud Soul this time around, but you still want to see some objective control from either one of these sides, because I think that that's where Ultra Prime was able to succeed a lot, because they were forcing BLG's hand around those objectives, and I think that can lead to a lot here in this game, especially because the biggest difference is the Trundle's on the other hand this time around. It's on Ultra Prime side, and we saw it be a little bit lackluster last game. And BiuBiu, speaking of, is getting a ton of damage on ZS. But Hacker looking to be proactive, looking to give the XiaoCaoBao treatment to Zeka here, who has no flash, but not going to get out this time, or not going to get the kill this time. And now Hacker is going to get killed himself because BiuBiu's back again. It's like a nightmare reoccurrence for the man himself and Hacker. And now as well, XiaoCaoBao is going to be punished for his transgressions.
WeiWei's like, you chop, I chomp, and I get the double kill. Now, 4-1 for BLG, and that was such a good turnaround. One of the things I was about to mention was, look, it becomes really difficult to go towards these early dragons as Ultra Prime because you have to be so cognizant of BiuBiu potentially teleporting down with the party he has. You try to get that play from Ultra Prime in mid lane, and BiuBiu just TPs down. He ends up setting up that play, they turn it around, and a really good job from BLG to shut down this early aggression from Ultra Prime.
And ZS was forced to TP, or went ahead and burned the TP to go topside after that initial trade. Now we get the replay of that mid lane. I believe this was the almost, but no cigar on that one, and then the TP play just commits it all.
Yeah, the TP just solidified this, but honestly, they'd already gone that bit too far forward, and WeiWei just able to come in, great flash stun to set this up. And XiaoCaoBao falls as well, as WeiWei's able to steal away the damage now. Replay on the bottom side as... I'm actually not sure what happened here.
Smlz has to flash away. Okay, all right, I see you. BLG just finding advantages everywhere as they got the solo kill for aiming as well.
And this is just a disaster for Ultra Prime now. Literally a kill across the board on every single one of the carries on BLG, already setting you behind. Especially when you look towards the opportunity now for them to double down on this with, a couple of, literally a minute until the Rift Herald is up. You do have the already Dragon going towards Ultra Prime while watching the replay though, so at least they're starting to get some of these responses on the bottom side, but it certainly feels like BLG now have the tools to snowball this game.
It is, and it's off the back of some proactive decisions from Ultra Prime, but things not landing the way they want to, right? And now Hacker is down 2 deaths on the Trundle, a little bit in the same position that WeiWei was last game, where you didn't see this Trundle pick really getting off the ground.
And one of the big things that kind of falls to the wayside here for Ultra Prime is the ability now to kind of keep themselves safe, because we talked about BLG, the way they want to play these fights, right, is by coming in off of multiple flanks, making sure they've got the early control. Well, when you have literally every single lane winning, it becomes a lot easier for you to get this early objective movement, make sure you're the ones with vision control. You can start to look for these nice flanks because Ultra Prime can be denied vision, access to a lot of these plays, and sets up for BLG's team fight so damn well.
One of the biggest differences for me in this game is this topside matchup, right? Like, BiuBiu has just taken complete control. He is roaming every single time he pushes in the lane, and ZS has had multiple times already in the game where he's unable to respond to something that BiuBiu is able to do.
I mean, the whole game so far has been WeiWei responding so well to everything that Ultra Prime are trying to do. Now, BiuBiu, though, starting to move down towards this Rift out. We said, look, this is going to be BLG favored. There's nothing that you can do here. Ultra Prime, you can see they're not even going to try and contest. It's like, look, we're going to try and bypass this. I think the big issue here, though, is that we're not seeing them try and make a play anywhere else at all. Like, yes, you're getting your red buff here as hacker, but maybe the opportunity here to look for some sort of pressure on bot side or try and make a play elsewhere. But unfortunately, it's just BLG taking this as Ultra Prime continue to farm up.
So we have a decent early game advantage for BLG, but not all is said and done for Ultra Prime there. I do still feel like they have a ton of scaling on their side and a ton of team fight potential there if they have the right setup. You can say the same for the other side, right? The team fights are going to be a very, very bloody affairs, as you were kind of alluding to earlier, but I still think that there is some hope if you can, you know, stave off a little bit of these kills coming across for BLG, and Ultra Prime can find something for themselves in that mid to late game.
Yeah, a lot of this for BLG is just the fact that they spike earlier.
Exactly.
Like, Kennen comes online with one, you get that mid-game spike from aiming off the 2 items. Like, trying to fight back against that as Ultra Prime when you're an Ori, a Twitch, a Gwen is really, really difficult to do. So, and even especially when you're looking at Smlz's build, he's looking towards that wit's end to try and get a little bit of that early magic resist in, but that, you know, slows down things like the Kraken Slayer, maybe even a Gale Force, whatever he decides to go for, but definitely adding time to that clock before this Twitch becomes massively relevant.
WeiWei gonna go ahead and take the proactive play, and top side has the Rift Herald available. Just trying to get as much damage down on the tower before they do spawn that one, but a lot of gold. Gonna go over to BiuBiu and WeiWei as ZS just can only watch as his tower gets taken down slowly but surely, but that will be first tower secured by BLG.
And again, really nice snowball coming through here from BLG, making sure, hey, look, we're going to be able to get this. Now they're getting a second charge. And again, it's putting those resources into BiuBiu. This is the traditional BLG. And especially when you have such a favorable matchup and a Kennen that can take over team fights, I love that we're getting this attention towards BiuBiu in the early stages.
And that's what was so weird about game number 1, is they just seemingly bought into the Ultra Prime Kindred bot playstyle. And unfortunately, we're not able to find those typical topside leads. And it just kind of got... they found a little bit of skirmishing early up there, but nothing like crazy like this, where you're getting complete, pretty much lane dominance from BiuBiu up there. And that means that BLG is able to focus around the rest of the map. Now you see that that lane is broken open. You have the full team fight coming to bear right now for BLG.
And this is where you enter danger zone as ZS, right? Because we know that BiuBiu likes to pick up these solo kills. He's the most solo kills of any top laner, 20 so far this split. And when he's this far ahead, he can just continuously push you in, start to chip away at you, and becomes obnoxious for ZS to deal with. You have to overextend if you want to try and keep your lane somewhat pushed out and answer these potential teleport plays from BiuBiu. Or if you do that, you just end up being poked and damaged down. Otherwise, you just end up shoved in, and BiuBiu gets full access to the map.
Definitely not something you want, especially when you're starting to rack up objectives and things of the like. We do have the second dragon of the game on the board here, with WeiWei heading that way. There were some pings from the side of BLG onto it, but maybe they want to see if they can get anything bot lane first. But I would expect an objective to come along here for BLG, as they've been doing an excellent job of moving their pressure around the map and pulling Ultra Prime alongside them.
Yeah, you're going to see WeiWei just seal away this blue buff as he's waiting for both his mid and bot to completely push their waves in, and then they'll just turn over towards the dragon. They already knew the hacker was topside, so they're just going to be free to start this one up.
Yep, it's going to be an easy dragon pickup, tying up the dragon scores for both these sides. As I did see Hacker coming down through mid lane. I was wondering if he was maybe going to show his face down here. Was looking for maybe something onto Zeka, but could not find it. And it will just be going back to farming. So a bit unfortunate for Ultra Prime. I was going to say aiming, maybe it's some trouble. Twitch is a little bit scary, a little bit slippery, but it's still going to be BLG finding advantages.
I mean, just opens up with a spray and pray there as well, just to get every bit of damage you can down. It kind of says Ultra Prime is like, look, we know that this fight isn't coming anytime soon, so we're just going to see if we can get a bit of damage down. But two kind of different builds coming through from both the AD carries, though, right? We talked about Smlz picking up that wit's end because he wants to make sure he's going to be safe from BiuBiu, safe from Zeka. Also aiming with that mixed damage, but aiming going the Triforce route will have a lot of damage if he's able to hit a couple of these mystic shots.
He is. I was very interested to see the Trinity Force completed down there. I've been falling in love. Maybe it's not the the most liked build, but that tank Ezreal build is mighty scary. The fact that you can still pull things off with that and the damage you can find in the late game. But that Trinity Force got to be spiking earlier, going to have a ton more in the tank for aiming. That's exactly what you want to see here. WeiWei looking mid, the flash, the stun, XiaoCaoBao, the heartbreaker, and your heart is broken, my friend, as Ultra Prime will lose another one.
That was just a solo kill.
Yep.
Zeka was playing catch up the whole time and never even got a chance. But ZS now sitting behind BiuBiu. Hacker is on the way.
Gonna start backing here, but I believe now you're gonna see the commitment. I still don't know if they can take this, but we're about to find out because they say no.
No, we're not.
They say, I think they made the right decision, Dagda. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Yeah, I think they were listening to you. They're like, you know what? I don't really know anymore. This is a lot of damage that can come in fairly quickly.
Got
and
Maelstrom.
also, yeah, WeiWei was on his way up that way as well. So it was kind of a, all right, maybe we don't, fully commit to this, but still, gorgeous job from WeiWei, right?
Yeah.
Just instantly bursting XiaoCaoBao. It's just as he completed the Divine Sunder on this Viego. So WeiWei certainly in a position now to step up and be this carry. I mean, look at the gold, right? He's got more gold than Zeka in this mid lane. And Zeka has actually been doing a pretty good job of farming so far.
He has. It's been pretty incredible, and the fact that BiuBiu is still able to keep just in good graces there. And I think that it's getting to a point for Ultra Prime where the team fights are getting scarier and scarier, and we were holding on to the hope, you have a decent amount of scaling on your side, but it's still been the theme of the game where Hacker and Co can't really find a response to a play that BLG are putting on the map.
And again, I don't think it's going to get any easier, right? We're now shifting our attention back towards the top side with Rift Herald being spawned, and that's where BLG are strongest right now. So again, Ultra Prime, they're going to have to give up a Rift Herald. That now nets another mid lane turret. Maybe it's a bot lane turret, but it definitely provides pressure for BLG. And hell, even if they really wanted to, you put a play mid right as this dragon spawns in 2 minutes, and it becomes easier for BLG again to have this control. And now with aiming in the mid lane, ppgod's free to roam and assist in a lot of these aggressions towards BiuBiu, towards Zeka, and setting more advantages for BLG.
And that gets even scarier and scarier as you can get all the pieces starting to line up. We also see WeiWei picking up his second Rift Herald of the game. And BLG will be cruising right along here. Zeka has to get away from his towers. They're going to be able to pick up their first tower of the game for Ultra Prime. But we do have our changed lane assignments here, and all of that focus towards this mid lane with that Rift Herald being spawned by WeiWei.
And again, they're just going to be able to take this. You got BiuBiu pushing in the top side. No real answer coming through from Ultra Prime. They're now trying to get to the play, but this will be a second charge, it looks like.
Ooh.
No, they're just about out to get it. XiaoCaoBao on the flank.
What is it? Is it the flank shockwave here? Oh, BiuBiu! He almost stops the back, but he's going to take the second tier tower just as beautifully, as that's a lot of gold still given over to BiuBiu.
This mouse is massive. Like this is going to be such a... Oh, hang on.
Wait, XiaoCaoBao used shockwave on the wave there. Just get a wave cleared down. Now the Chaos Storm is here. XiaoCaoBao in some trouble. One more tick will do it. No, Zeka can't find it.
Couldn't quite get the damage out, didn't have it. He just finished off that Luden's Tempest, so was trying to abuse the advantage that he had with that mythic completed, but not able to find it. Still though, shoves XiaoCaoBao away from this, especially as Dragon just spawned in 30 seconds, gives full control of bot wave, gives control of river now to BLG, and again, they're just racking up these objectives. And reminder for folks, BLG, they just need a game win to make sure that they can set themselves in towards playoffs, and right now, they're looking hungry for it.
Yeah, they really are, especially after that first game. I feel like you gotta be hungry or there's something going on, because that game was not representative of the traditional BLG fashion, but this game has been. BiuBiu looking to get away, and he looks like he will. He's heading to some reinforcements here in mid lane, and Ultra Prime yet again cannot get the playoff.
I mean, this is Tom and Jerry right now.
It's
they're trying
so
to chase
rough.
after BiuBiu, and Zeka's just like, cool, well, they're all doing that shenanigans topside. We're just going to take this bot lane turret. They're going to trade up. They've got pressure now in this mid lane. And again, Dragon is going to go across the BLG. So, yes, you get a tower top for Ultra Prime, but you're still trading down.
The pressure still mounting in the mid lane for BLG as Hacker and ZS will commit to the topside tower, so picking up the second tower of the game for Ultra Prime. Meanwhile, the response play is WeiWei doing that dragon. It's gonna be second dragon picked up for BLG. They might even be able to get a second tier 2 tower here, as well as aiming one more auto tag. Okay, he needs to be a little careful there because there's still a decent amount of damage just coming out of XiaoCaoBao, and he had the shockwave available.
And you're waiting so long here for Ultra Prime to still try and be relevant, right? Because you can see here for the Wit's End complete for Smlz, has got his boots after that. Not really working towards a Kraken Slayer anytime soon. You've got the same for XiaoCaoBao. He's actually had to stop off for the Verdant Barrier, so his build has been delayed towards this Archangel Staff. it's just not really coming together for Ultra Prime right now. And you still need another item on top of a second item before we really see these take over against BLG.
I gotta ask here, Dagda, what is the Trundle pick here? Where do you see it thriving? Where do you see it succeeding? Because this is the second time in a row where the plays are being made around the map and Trundles can't respond.
Yeah, I mean, Trundle can do reasonably well against like things like the XiaoCao, where you can steal a lot of the stats of people that come in. And he can do a lot of that against people like WeiWei, right? When WeiWei launches himself in, get the subterfuge, you're able to lock him in place as well with the pillar. And in theory, you can then burst him down. The problem is, there's no one on Ultra Prime that's really able to burst him down alongside Hacker. There's just a lot of consistent damage that comes in the late game. And right now, this Trundle isn't really giving the bridge that Ultra Prime need to get to the late game.
Yeah, and he's got about 60 CS differential not in his favor against WeiWei, so a bit unfortunate. A lot of gold given over to BLG early on. As you can see, it's about a 5,000 gold lead right now at about 20 minutes in the game. They're continuing to press up these lanes as well. They're looking for their first inhib tower, but they're not going to overcommit for it. They're going to wait for Ultra Prime to make a slip up, to make a mess up, because they have the advantage. BiuBiu getting a 1v1 in the side lane here. Maelstrom's going to do a ton of damage. ZS's health bar is just gone. One auto attack will do it. BiuBiu is asserting dominance in this game.
Able to get the Maelstrom through the Hollowed Mist, and ZS missed several of those shots with the needlework, so it meant that BiuBiu just gets the 1v1. It was a valiant effort from ZS, but it was kind of a dream. Like, that was never really going to work out.
Like, I'm 0-0-0. I can do this. I believe in the Gwen. It didn't work out. It goes 0-1 now on that Gwen, as we'll see yet another tower fall to BLG. Now, no towers outside of the base remaining for Ultra Prime, which means resets come out for BLG, and they'll be right back to it.
And we're looking at like a 2-item spike for BLG right now. That is exactly where they want to be, right? 2 minutes until that next dragon means that they're going to have these super strong team fights that they can play through. And the guys that we're looking at to try and like get to the later portion of the game are WeiWei and Zeka. And both of them have been accelerated in this game. WeiWei at one point had the most gold on his team. He's already got the Wit's End completed, working towards that Sterix. So it feels like everything's coming together for BLG. Whereas we look across at Ultra Prime, right? Banshee's Veil just completed, the Ruins Hurricane, super nice for Smlz. But the Wit's End Ruins isn't a power spike. You need a Mythic in there to really give you that extra damage. Hell, even something like an Infinity Edge to actually pack a punch.
I guess you're just looking for the quick pickups here. I'm not saying anything, but we might get some action here pretty soon, because Ultra Prime are into their red side of the jungle and looking for BLG, who has been pressed up consistently here. You got to think about that gold lead. You've got to think about the advantages that BLG have been able to find here for themselves. And you can see Ultra Prime are just a little bit hesitant to move forward.
And for Ultra Prime, the best way for them to try and play is look for some sort of pick with the Twitch, see if they can sneak them up a lane, you know, catch exactly that play that we saw from ZS, right? If you have Smlz in that position as well, that's where you can try and make these plays in side lanes. But BLG are doing a phenomenal job of keeping vision.
Ooh, big engage there from ppgod. They've already gotten one, and Hacker is out of the fight. He's sitting on the bench for this one. We'll see if BLG want to just take that into the Baron. It looks like they will. And this is an up in tempo continuously for BLG.
So this is maybe an opportunity here for Ultra Prime, although this sounds weird because a lot of AoE damage for the pit, but it's only ShiauC and Smlz here right now.
Yeah, XiaoCaoBao is here now, but it's a little bit late, and the Baron's already at 2,000 health, so that's just going to go away to BLG. And they have had such dominance over these objectives so far. They lost that one dragon, but they've gotten everything else so far, Dagda.
There is an opportunity, though, for Ultra Prime to steal away this second one. Although the Enhanced Baron recalls making this a little bit close. Looks like maybe Ultra Prime won't actually be able to solidify this. But again, like you can see here, Ultra Prime, they're all just sitting in the jungle while BLG are there. So they're just kind of asking for this big engage to come through. WeiWei spots them all out. You get that scrying orb as well just to see exactly where they are. Great engage from ppgod. And this is what we said, like when you get ahead here as BLG, it's going to be hard to stop them.
Oh, they found him. BiuBiu's dead. That's a big shutdown going over to ZS.
And the dragon as well. That's two quick pickups. Now they're looking for Smlz though, who's just managing to get away. Wave is shoved in mid, so Ultra Prime need to get back home.
They do it. I think BLG realized that here as they've got pings in mid lane as well. But some backs coming across. Ultra Prime will be able to defend. And they got away with a catch out of BiuBiu.
That's a big pickup as well, because that's a shutdown alongside the Dragon, and it's going over into the hands of ZS as well. So giving you a little bit more control over these side lanes. You can see he's just managed to pick up that stopwatch for himself as well. So I want to see now that you have a little bit of time here for Ultra Prime. Push out side lanes, start to get control of the map, and give the opportunity for us to make these picks with Smlz that we're talking about.
It's just so scary. We're going up against Baron buffs here with a team that's gotten a 7,000 gold lead at this point in the game, and it's just looking really rough for the siege of Ultra Prime here, and they're getting pushed across the map, right? Like, you've got mid and top pushing both with Baron minions, and you've got to be really careful about the catch out in between. Oh, speaking of, ShiauC decides to go ahead and go in, and they found yet another pick. This is how Ultra Prime can get themselves back into the game as Zeka's gone. And they want to take a little bit more hacker force to flash over the wall there, but the inhib tower still stands. ZS doing a good job of the wave clear. They are actually pushing back the aggression of BLG here in their base, but how long is that going to last? Because the siege does not stop. Aiming just gets the under tower kill of Hacker.
And now BLG will be able to crack the base. The Baron is still up for another few seconds, and they've got the inhibitor tower. They're still trying to look for more, though, as desperately Ultra Prime try and clear this top wave.
They've still got a decent amount of time here. They're going to get the mid inhib tower and get away. It looks like BiuBiu still pushing topside. Maybe they can transition that into another tower take, but it's Ultra Prime looking for the catch out. BiuBiu is going to go down yet again, but Smlz is the target here on the back. The resets are starting to come down, and aiming is untouched yet again. The crucial pickup of the Ezreal is shining bright in this second game for BLG as he's 4-0 on the pick.
And it's just been non-stop action. BLG have been able to pick up everything, and now they start to encroach once more. Baron has fallen off, but Ultra Prime, they're on their last stand.
Smlz is invisible. He's waiting to go in. He has a spray and pray. Doesn't pull the trigger just yet. A lot of damage put onto ppgod. They get them off of the inhib tower, and that's all that matters.
And Smlz, he needs to try and be the big carry here. He's actually going for a different build than what we traditionally see, going towards the Titanic Hydra. It's something that I think has started to pick up a little bit in Korean solo queue, but we'll have to see how much damage it is going to be able to do here, because you get a lot of that AoE splashing when you've got this through shot coming through from the spray and pray. You're into putting a whole lot of that Titanic Hydra procs through the entire team. So Smlz going to be doing a lot of AoE damage. We'll have to see if it's going to be enough, and BLG group up and allow him to shred them.
At this point, I just want to see how long it takes to get a mythic item on the Twitch here. We'll see. We'll see if we get there. But very, very interesting to see these kind of builds come through. But I'm still looking over at the side of BLG with the strengths that they've gotten. And yes, you've been able to find picks as Ultra Prime, but is that consistent? Is that a sustainable way to win the game? I think you've got to start turning some of these team fights.
I don't know if they're going to have the power, though. I mean, now you're getting towards 3 items kind of across the board here, right? So XiaoCaoBao at level 16 going to be doing a lot of work. We just got that Titanic Hydra finish for Smlz. So if you get this big shockwave combo with Smlz's AoE damage, you can do a lot of work in these fights, but they need to find that big engagement. They need to find that fight, and it has to be on towards aiming BiuBiu and WeiWei. Otherwise, you just don't have a chance here, as they'll be able to swarm and overrun you.
I just think it's so crazy that Ultra Prime being able to find pick after pick in here. It's giving me feels of the top esports series, right? Where you're getting craziness come down, but they're still sitting right there in the seat right next to the enemy. Big catch out. No, ppgod going to be able to get away, but they have caught out ZS on the top. A little bit of backup is here by Ultra Prime. They're still looking for this inhib tower for BLG. They might be able to get it. Aiming is just popping shots right now. Solar Flare goes in. The Maelstrom onto everybody. And BLG are looking to clean up the game. They want to secure themselves playoffs, Dagda. And there's nothing that can stop them. They take yet another fight. And they're going to continue to just shove this gold lead down Ultra Prime's throat.
And there's nothing that Ultra Prime could do. Smlz gets caught out, and BLG win the fight cleanly. With game 2 in the bag, we'll be going the full distance in this series.
The dream is alive. I want 6 full games tonight. We're going the distance in the first series. I love League of Legends. BLG will make this series a fun one and a topsy-turvy one. After Ultra Prime took a smashing game in game number 1, they come back with a smashing performance of their own. All I'm gonna say, Dagda, is they're both winning on the blue side, and they both got blue in their logos.
I mean, the conspiracy theories right there in front of us, right? We're connecting the dots, but I do have to say, I think it was just BLG playing back towards his strengths, right?
Exactly.
We saw them moving towards BiuBiu in that top side, playing through this Kennen, getting him set up, getting a whole bunch of gold for WeiWei in these engagements as well, and it meant that when it got towards objectives, they've got a ton of pressure in this mid lane that's been set up thanks to WeiWei. Top side of the map as well, Rift Towers are going their way, Dragons are going their way, and they're just fighting back every step of the way against Ultra Prime with the gold lead they'd accumulated from those early advantages.
It's a beautiful thing to be on the blue side in this series, but it's also a beautiful thing to see the adaptations from game number 1. They pick the Kennen again, but this time it smashes the lane against ZS, and they're able to get some resources up there and snowball out across the map. They did not let up the pressure. The first game was over in like 25.5 minutes. This one a little bit longer, but it does not matter. It was the same kind of presence on the map from both of the games in this series so far.
And you can see it's pretty much a steady climb up as well. They do get one or two picks from Ultra Prime to get them back in shape. But yeah, I mean, look, Amy doing phenomenal work. BiuBiu as well. That last engagement was just incredible. Like, that was exactly what we were waiting for from BiuBiu. And he gets onto the key carries as well. Smlz caught up in the mix. ZS was gone. Like, at that stage, XiaoCaoBao just doesn't have enough in the tank to try and carry a fight. So really good target selection from BiuBiu as well in that fight.
And I just see the damage from ZS and Hacker, and there's so much potential there, but they just didn't come to fruition, and it was just a 10,000 gold differential at the end of it that led BLG to that gold graph that you see a steady increase. So it was a crazy game number 2, and I think I'm still gonna harp on this Trundle pick. I like Trundle in essence, right? In the thought process, you say it's good against certain picks, right? But the proactivity is what I want to see from both these junglers, because that's how these teams have found success, and it's just not there seemingly with the Trundle pick today, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, there are still other picks that we've seen kind of traditionally come out, like Olaf, a big one that can have that early game pressure. We've seen like the Volley Bear come through for both these guys as well. There's always that swap across, but we're just not really getting it. And unfortunately, as you say, this Trundle just hasn't had that impact that we really needed to see.
We'll see if we get a Trundle in game number 3. We'll see what happens, as we got to send it to a little break while we do get ready for game number 3 between Ultra Prime and BLG. Don't go